Good morning, folks. We're going to do some more work today on the contain the chest, raise the back feeling. And so the main thing we'll be working on initially is letting the chest hang and letting, as you let go something in the chest, letting that be reflected down in the base of the lower back, the place where your back would be arched. And so in order for this to work, you need to get some mobility in these areas in the body, and then you need to really understand the various ways that you would hold them. These are parts of our body that we tend not to move very much. It's a real tendency to lock the chest and the shoulders in place so that they're held on the skeleton. There's a real tendency to habitually shorten the muscles in the lower back, which will cause the pelvis to be tilted forward and the lower back to be excessively arched. And it's actually quite challenging for people to find motion in there because the motion that you'll end up with is small. These are not places like my arms that move a lot, or my legs that move a lot. So the motion is relatively small, and the changes you're making are small, and they're places that many of us habitually lock, and so we don't have much motion in there. So I'm going to start with a couple warm-ups that we've done with you all, and in both of these, what we're really trying to do is get mobility and motion. So play along. First one here is the shoulder rolls. So in and out of a 70-30, moving the shoulder socket on the side that goes with your front leg. So my left leg is forward and I'm doing it to my left shoulder socket. So make sure you're doing it on the right side. There's a real tendency for people to do it with the shoulder that's on the back leg and get the one that's on the front leg. And really move that a lot so you're getting mobility all through the upper chest and the shoulder. It's not the elbow and the arm. You're not trying to move those a lot. It's moving the socket. And after you've done that a number of times, reverse the direction. So send the socket around the other way. And really notice how much motion you can get there. So really feeling that. And it's likely that you'll hear the popping and snapping packing material sound. That's completely normal. So don't worry about that. And if you're not getting mobility, it's probably because you're holding your shoulder. I sometimes do this to people. Would you switch to the other side? I'll sometimes come around and actually grab somebody and move their shoulder sockets, and you see how much motion is there. When I do that to people, they are universally astonished at how much motion they can actually get. So do that first side a little bit more, both directions, and really get that shoulder socket moving. Not Tai Chi Chuan, not doing the form, just breaking up adhesions and muscular binding that you may be used to. Now change directions on that side and get that moving. Imagine that I'm grabbing your upper arm and person handling you and pushing that thing around. Okay, now do the other side. Remember, the shoulder socket that moves goes with your front leg. And the reason for shifting in and out of the 70-30 is just to pump it. Not to move the body that would let you hide from yourself whether or not your shoulder socket is really moving. Get that pup moving. And then go the other direction. Much motion as you can get there in the shoulder socket. So you're getting that whole joint, which is pretty complicated, actually moving. Okay, around once more. And now we're going to do it 50-50. And the thing you'll see when you do it 50-50 is how much the shoulders don't just move up and down. They actually move towards your center line in the front, and then again towards your center line in the back. And so that's easy to miss when we're doing it on just one shoulder. But when you do it with two, you'll really feel that. So pump the legs up and down to get the shoulders moving. And feel them coming towards the center of your body, towards your ears, towards your spine and the back, towards your hips. So it's not just a circle that they're making. It's like an infinity sign wrapped around you. So they're moving not only up and down, but also forward and back. Not only up and down, forward and back, but also towards your spine in the back, towards your center in the front. So they're moving both ways. And then go the other direction. Pop, 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 pop. That's normal. If you're not hearing any crackling and popping, maybe your shoulders are totally open and you've resolved any binding in there. More likely you're not moving them. Okay, great. Let's do a similar thing for the hips. So I want to get them moving. So put all your weight in one leg. Put your other leg out. And what we're going to do is throw our knees around. And the point to that is to get the quad working. Make sure you go from the inside towards the outside. This is another one where people want to go the other way, and that won't do it. So towards the inside, then towards the outside. And just move the knee a lot and pay attention to what it feels like in the quad on that side. This is sort of the moral equivalent of the shoulder rolls, only down in your hip. So you really want to feel that going. And make sure the knee is going forward and then towards the outside, not the inside. And change, go to the other side. Now it's going to go this way. Throw the knee around and feel the quad getting worked. The place where your thigh bone comes into the pelvis. Really feel that moving. This is the moving part, not out here. This is the moving, this is the joint. And really get mobility in there. Okay, and now we're going to do hip rolls. And when I do this, watch my head. It's my hips that are moving, not my head. And when I do this, somehow people think this is moving their hips around. It's not. The head stays in place and the hips move. And the same thing happens as I'm doing this, my hips go behind me and then they come to the side and then they come in front of me. Look at this. This is the couch potato hips, Mr. Natural hips that we're always telling you not to do. But get that and go over to the other side. And when you go to the back, go ahead and stick your butt out behind you. My head will move a little bit to keep my balance, but I'm definitely not moving my head all around. So give it a try. Go one direction and really work on having this be rounded all the way. You're drawing a circle with your hips, not a rectangle. And so it's easy for it to square off. You come to the front and you go straight back. As you go back, you're still going around the circle. You get in the back and you just shift over. As you're shifting over, you're going around the circle. You get to this side and you come straight forward. You're still going around the circle. You get to the front and you just shift over. No, have it be circular all the way there. And you can put your hands on the front of your hips or the back of your hips so that you can really feel the action in there. And now shift to the other direction. Swing them around the other way. Really move them. This isn't careful and slow. This is getting mobility into joints that may be welded together and don't normally move. And remember, the head stays more or less in place. It's the hips that move, not the head. Another swing or two. Great. So when you're doing those kinds of things, you should get a little feeling of warmth and of ease of movement in the joints you were just working on. So it's likely that your hip joints are feeling a little worked right now. That's good. And you want to go ahead and just let this be pretty free. It's not like doing our forms where we're all, the hands must be exactly like this, and then they have to drop just like that. They rise exactly on the line of the rear calf, and then you release and the palms go out. Though that has a precision in the motion that we're not trying to do when we're just trying to get these things moving. So you're just trying to get some motion happening in there. Okay, now the next thing I want you to pay attention to is getting this feeling of actually relaxing the lower back. So you can see that I'm standing here like this, and you can see that my lower back is arched. And what I have to do is I have to let go and let the lower back hang there. That creates the conditions where the tension that was in my chest can fall and fill the lower back. And I just want this feeling of hanging and dropping down, not tucking. And it may feel like tucking for you if you habitually walk around with your butt stuck out slightly and the lower back arched. When you actually let it go and you let it just hang down straight towards the ground, this may feel like tucking, but I'm definitely not tucking. And there are arts that talk about tucking, doing the pelvis tuck, and deliberately do this. I have my theories about that. But in any case, it's not what I'm talking about. Letting this actually drop so that it hangs down in Tai Chi is what connects the lower body to the upper body, so that what I do down in my foot and leg can come up through the body. When I arch my back, what I do down there doesn't get through. This is like a kink in a hose. It's like a break in something. And so the arch in the back will mean that the action in the legs can't actually come out my hands. When I drop and let it hang, then I get that action in the legs can come out the hands. But everything has to be relaxed. I believe that some arts will do that tuck because then you've got a mechanical linkage from the lower body to the upper body without requiring the relaxation, the profound and tremendous relaxation that Tai Chi Chuan demands. And so everybody agrees that this is a problem. If I fix it mechanically by tucking the hips, then I can get a mechanical result, but I'm all tight in here. And it just takes longer to let go and let that really hang. So hopefully what I just demonstrated you could see, but I need you to feel it. So wherever you're practicing, grab a chair, and depending on the size of the chair, you can the ideal is that the back of the chair is at a place where I can sit down on it, and I want to sit on it right where my sit bones are hitting the back of the chair. And look at my lower back here. Look how it has flattened and given. So you really want to have that feeling. One of the people we worked with has said, this is like sitting on a bar stool. So when you're sitting on a bar stool and you're, having a drink, which is something we don't get to do during this time. But if you were doing that, you don't lean back, right, because you're going to fall off. You don't arch your back because it's easy. You just let it relax here. And so look, you can see my back is arched here, and feel the tension it puts in my body, and I just let go. I'm not going to do Mr. Natural because I have no back of the chair. I'm going to fall over. So you just want to sit there. If you don't have a chair that's the right height, you can do this sitting down in it too, but I'm going to have you stand up in a second, and it's harder to do this if you stand up and keep it there. It's easier if you do it off the back of the chair. So grab your chair, sit down so the sit bones, the bony part on your butt, is right on the edge of the chair. It should be uncomfortable. The arm of a chair would work too, Beth says. Yeah, if your chair is the right size, that sitting on the arm or the arm of a couch, you could have that. So really, I'm wanting you to be in a place where you can let go and feel that lower back relax. And with any luck, the height is such that you can then stand up without affecting it. And you want to be able to sit down, let the lower back go, stand up. And notice if when you stand up, you put that arch back in. You're no longer sitting on the bar stool. So really letting that go and feel that lower back relaxation. And now check your chest. Feel what that feels like. And you can play around. You can thrust your chest out and feel the increased tension in your lower back. You can hang and concave, right? And so now you've had a few too many. Might be time to cut you off. So not that. Here in the middle. Relaxed. Chest hanging. Lower back full. Easy. And if you've gotten that feeling, then arrange it so that you can not use the chair and stand up and still get the same feeling. If you need to, bring the chair back and sit down on it. This probably sounds bad on the audio. Sorry about that because you're getting chair scraping sounds. And then move away from the chair. See if you can still get that same feeling. So when I was first introduced to this idea, I spent 6 months or a year or so every time before I did Tai Chi sitting on the back of the chair to get that feeling back there. So then when I did Tai Chi, I didn't return to my habitual chest thrust out, lower back arched, but I could actually get this different feeling. So you may find that valuable to spend some time really sitting on the chair before you do your morning practice. So take a posture, take say ward off left, and stand in it. And see if you can get that same feeling in ward off left, of the lower back released and the chest hanging. Any tension and tightness that was in the chest, you let go, and it goes into the lower back. So ward off left, and really try to find that. If you need to, while you're doing this, put this video on pause, go grab your chair, sit down in it again, and get that lower back feeling, and then come back and take ward off left and press play again so that you've got that. Because I really want you to find this feeling. And change to ward off right. Same thing. If when you put your hands up, that made you thrust the chest, see what happened to my chin, it's out a little bit. See what happened to my lower back, it's arched. Find yourself sitting on the back of the chair, the bar stool. And beware, you haven't had too much. You're not all collapsed. You're still upright here, but it's without any thrusting in the chest. No tension in the lower back. Great. So we're going to do a first third, and we're going to stop at every final posture. And when we get to that final posture, I want you to really find if your chest is hanging and your lower back is full, or if in the process of getting from the previous posture to that one, you ended up with a little thrusting and a little tightness, and then you teach yourself to let go. So we will all put tension and tightness in our bodies. It's just what happens. The question is, do you notice it? And if you notice it, what do you do? Do you let go? So this is the process of doing your Tai Chi, finding something that you're working on, noticing if you're doing what you want or you're doing your old habitual pattern, and if you're doing the old habitual pattern, changing. So that's the key. We'll do a first third and really work on that. So right away from the start here. So put your hand, one hand on the chest, one hand on the lower back, standing here. If you lock your knees, that will force the chest to go out and the lower back to arch. And so let them go. If your knees aren't locked, but you still have the thrust out chest and the arched lower back, think about the chair and let yourself sit on the edge of the chair. Okay, go ahead. (50-50) up to an unlocked knee position and check out your chest and lower back. When you did that, did you go too far, which made you thrust your chest out and tighten the lower back? Or are you still sitting on the edge of the chair? First one. it there for a second. Check it out. What happened? Did raising the arms make you thrust the chest out? If so, notice that and let it go. Did raising the arms make you arch the back? Notice that. Let it go. Continue to ward off left. And check it out. Chest hangs. Lower back is full here, just hanging. See if you've still got the creases in your hip joints. If you couch potato, these will flatten, and so the lower back might feel like it's hanging, but this is tucking. So they've got to be bent, and then this gives it a place for the chest to drop into and for the lower back to soften. Continue to ward off right. Check it out again. Check your chest, check your lower back. Get back to the sitting on the bar stool place. When we put the arms up, a lot of times that'll make us thrust our chests out. So if that's happening to you, notice it. Continue. Turn and sit back. Okay, and now notice, did that make you lean back, thrust your chest out? Relaxing everything, lower back full from the chest dropping into it. Turn from one corner to the other corner, stop there. You should still have that same arrangement. Continue to press. And now watch as we shift into press. See if that makes you lead with the chest. When you get to the final posture, chest hangs, lower back full. Holding in these positions lets you teach yourself a new way to hold your posture. On to push. Chest hangs, lower back fills. Single whip. There's a lot going on here, so it's really easy to lose that feeling. So as you do the twist up, notice if that makes you arch your lower back. As you extend the hook, notice if that made you thrust the chest. And now here, chest hangs, lower back is full, base of spine drops down towards the ground, no tuck. Continue, lifting hands. Really letting that chest hang. Feeling like you're sitting on the edge of the chair. Okay, bring the hands back. And step out. Shouldering. Chest and lower back. And continue, white crane. Keep the chest hanging even as the right hand comes up. Check it out. Letting go. Sitting on the back of the chair or the arm of the sofa or whatever. Sit bones point down, lower back is relaxed. Continue to brush knee. This is an easy one to thrust the chest. So notice as you're shifting into it, especially as you start to turn, does that make you thrust the chest? When you get to the final posture, chest contained, back full and raised. Any tension in the chest falls into the lower back as you let go of the chest and helps fill the lower back without putting tension there. Play guitar. This is a continual process. You'll continue letting go. Not a bucket list item, but continuing to release the chest. Let the lower back fill. Let the base of the spine hang. Continue, brush knee. And check the final posture. Chest is contained, back is full and raised. No tension in the chest. Anything that you have there, let it go, and let it go into the lower back where it'll just be like ballast. Step, parry, and punch. Notice if you thrust the chest all the way through here. Keep releasing. Chest hangs. Lower back is full. Base of spine drops. Release down into the front foot. Continue. Appears to be closing. Seems to be sealed. See if having your hands relatively high here in front of you makes you pull the chest up. And if so, let go. Continually letting go. Cross hands, sit back, and turn. Cross hands is a deep position. So as your hands open and you pivot, you're sitting down. Stay sitting down as you shift 50-50. This is a really easy place to actually get that arrangement. So check your posture. Make sure the hips are creased in front. Don't let them flatten. That would be tucking. Equally, don't stick your butt out and arch the lower back. Let all of that go. Feel the chest hanging. Whatever was in the chest, as you let it go, it will fill the lower back. But it'll fill it without that feeling of tension. Okay, and now we're going to stand up. Don't stand up yet. But when we stand up, really pay attention to these two. And don't let the standing up disturb them. The chest is still hanging. The lower back is still full. The knees are not locked. And when I get all the way up, make sure you still got that chest hanging, lower back full. Don't go too far. That'll make you thrust the chest and arch the back. You may not be able to stand up as high as you're used to. And then close. Bringing the heels heels together, standing up, but again, chest hangs, lower back is soft. Don't let that make you arch and thrust. You may not be able to stand up quite as high as you're used to. As you practice this, you'll be able to get your legs straighter. But for now, really get the feeling. Okay, take a break. So like all our stuff, it's internals. You've got to have the feeling. And the internals reflect in an external mechanical shape, what's happening with the chest and the lower back. And as you get the internals and you really see that instant you start to thrust the chest and you start to arch the back, you'll change and you won't do it. It won't become obvious from the outside anymore. And then the outside will change. Equally, if your outside is in the other position, it doesn't matter what you do. You can't do it from here. So you have to make the external shape change. And that first round of making the external shape changes will be big. Subsequent rounds will be smaller, but just as important. So when you're standing in one of these positions, standing in the punch, and I'm working on this, even if you don't see anything happening from the outside, I'm continuing to release the chest. I'm continuing to let that become like ballast in the lower back and balance me. Holding a posture like this is a continual process of letting go and having more and more change happen on the inside, even as the changes on the outside are relatively small. The first change on the outside will be big. You'll really see it. You'll see it and you'll feel it. But then you're not done. Now you continue letting this go, 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 go. So I want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Beth, who will work on this some other places. The saying is to contain the chest and raise the back. And so that can lead to a thrusting up in the back. And so don't do that. What you do is the down. You do the letting go like you're dropping down, and then you let that upright the body, like a weighted doll or something, the classic thing they always talking about in this, that it's got weights in it and you push it over and it comes back up. You want to feel this dropping, and then you'll feel that there's a resulting up that's happening in the back. That's the raising of the back. But it is a complete and fundamental mistake to try to lift the back. So if you try to pull the back up, that's not it at all. What you do is let go. The tension that was in the chest comes down and fills the lower back, and then you'll find with time a rising that's going through the body. But that's a result of doing everything else, not something you try to do. So to contain the chest is to raise the back. And the doing is letting go and letting it go down. And then you notice that there's a resultant up, but you don't do the up. So Beth will work with us some more, and we'll be right back.
So I want to bring up this idea of the inner tube. I mentioned it briefly on Tuesday, and I want to talk about it a little more so that you get an image that you can work with. And first heard about this from Lindsay Williams, one of, probably Ben's very top student, not just one of, the top student of Ben's. And he would talk about having the feeling of a buoyant waist. And remember, your waist isn't just where the belt goes, it's across your back as well. And feeling that there's a buoyancy across the midsection that helps keep you upright and also releasing the lower back. So the two, as Lee was saying, go together. And this feeling of the inner tube is really useful. So a couple things that I've come to discover about it over the years. One is, when I say inner tube, I don't mean the tube that you get in Boulder Creek in and just sort of hang out. I mean like the one with the little ducky on the front of it that you wear as a kid when you're learning how to swim. Because it's more intimate. It's right here. It's all around you. It's not something that you just hang out in, a big giant inner tube. It's this space right around you is contained by something that helps you float. The other piece of it is that you can let go. You're in the pool And it's nice, wonderful, warm temperature, just the temperature you want. Everything is very relaxed. And you can give in and know that there's something buoyant keeping you up. So it will help you keep your body upright so that there isn't a little bit of a lean going on, and let you really relax all through here, because the inner tube is holding you up. And your feet are just, you're floating in the pool and you're just at the depth of water where your feet just come down to the ground, and it's easy to reach the ground while still being held up. So there's something hanging from below, and that's part of what gives the inner tube image the feeling of buoyancy, is that you're not crushing yourself down, you're actually a little bit floating. Lee talked about releasing the lower back, giving a sense of some ballast. It's that same idea. There's something that's helping you move through space without crushing you and without having to push yourself up, which we know we don't want to do, but you can really relax, let your legs hang. You're just in that little kiddie pool. So do that now. Just stand here, just 50-50, and put that inner tube to work. And it should give you the same quality in the lower back that we got with the chair. It's that same thing. Now that you've felt it with the chair, hopefully you can find it again. And let the inner tube be the thing that you're releasing into. So there's a couple different movements that we make in Tai Chi that I have found this to be especially helpful for. So let's play around with those. First one is, say, white crane going into brush knee. So take white crane, and you can start with your feet not at 90 degrees if we're just starting like this. You don't have to make it harder, because I want you to get a particular feeling, and there's no reason to overdo it in one place and get in the way of the other. So you're going to start, as you stand here, get your inner tube. Release into it. Let it take over. Your legs are just hanging down to the ground. You're upright because you're floating, and the lower back is relaxed. The chest is relaxed. You can put your hand up here. If you're holding your hand too high, it's going to get in the way of your pecs. So find a way that you can keep this open and soft. And now I'm going to turn this way, and you've got Lee facing the canonical direction. And as you lower your hand, I want you to stop with the arms swung up in the corner. Get your inner tube back on. Feel the ballast, the buoyancy. And now, let the hands fold over, and keep that feeling as you step and shift. Now, it doesn't mean that your hips can't go a little behind you at this point, which is what we were playing with on Tuesday, but do keep yourself in the inner tube. And let's do it again. All the weight in your right leg, release into your inner tube, and go. As you turn, keep releasing into that feeling. Keep it as you fold over and step, and as you complete the move. Your front leg takes over, but the inner tube is still there. Hold the final posture a moment and feel yourself releasing into it. So there's a lightness that comes from the buoyancy, and also a lot of rootedness because you're releasing the lower back. Releasing the lower back helps you root. Rest your legs. This may make your legs hurt more because you're effectively putting more weight down, because when I stand like this, I'm holding some of my weight off my feet by bringing it up into my chest. That's how, the figure skating couples and the woman becomes so light and gets tossed up in the air. Well, if she just sank her weight, she wouldn't be so easy to toss. So you gotta realize that when you do this work, it is putting more effort into your feet, even as you're not crunching down. So if this is working your legs a little more, well, welcome to the club. Another place that I find this really useful is in trying to take these great big steps. So, like going into Embrace Tiger. So, standing 50-50, bend your knees. You know this whole drill. Bend your hip joints, bend your knees, get your hands up. Feel the lower back relax. This is what we've been doing on the chair. We did it on Tuesday just in this posture. Really let go of your lower back. Now, give yourself the added benefit of your little inner tube. And shift to the left, let your hands drop, start to turn. And as you move through this, keep releasing into that buoyant inner tube that's going to help you take the step. And rest your legs. So we'll do it again now that you know what we're working with. Find the place. What tends to happen is, and I'm going to turn my back on you, that we tend to do something like this. And there's a little bit of a lean. It pitches me forward a little bit because of this tension in my lower back, and it makes it very hard to take the step. If instead, as I do this, I sit down into my inner tube and I can turn that whole structure, it's actually going to give you more balance as well as a better ability to stay upright and step. So give yourself that moment to really let go. Let the inner tube hold you up and see how that helps you take the step. So let's do it again. Maybe I'll face sideways. And go. Take your own pace, but do get yourself in the middle. Keep returning to that feeling. So that you can bring it around with you. And try it again. Sitting down, releasing your lower back. All this good stuff. Release into that inner tube and go. Keep releasing. Letting it hold you. Now, I know these moves are hard, but this should make it a little more stable when you take the step. And even if you're not quite getting it, tiniest little bit of letting go is going to actually start making a real difference. So because this is difficult and hard to find, don't give up. Let that inner tube help you to make these difficult steps, because it really will. One of the things that happens, for me anyway, when I do this, is that the empty leg, the leg that's stepping, has a place to let go. The sit bone can drop toward the ground, and then, that's part of this inner tube image, is that then I can let it move, as opposed to feeling like I'm having to move my leg, and when I do that, then the leg gets picked up But if I sit down into my inner tube, then the leg doesn't get hauled up because I'm floating. So see if that feeling and the notion that the emptying leg lets go into the inner tube as well as your lower back. The first place I ever felt relaxation in my lower back was actually a class with Jane down under the library. I can still picture where I was standing in the group, and we were holding this position. And it's really natural, I guess, to hold it a little bit like this. So you see what's happening to my back and how it pulls everything up. And Jane came over to me and kind of changed where my pelvis was, because my pelvis was a little bit back here. And she dropped my pelvis, and it was like, the correction that changed my life. So I can't come and put my hands on you now, but this feeling should really help get better uprightness and better able to stand in the posture. It's much more painful if your body is holding your all this tension up high when you're trying to stand on one leg. It's a lot nicer to release. So let's do that, and I want to suggest that if it helps, grab a hold of something. You don't have to hold on tight, but just so that you don't have to worry about losing your balance, because you might lose your balance as you're playing around with finding a new place for balance. So just the slightest bit of bringing the leg up with something to keep your balance will let you relax more. The chest can relax more. You can get your little inner tube going, and you can even kind of pull, move your leg and feel that you're not having the lower back get tugged up as you do it. If you can hold on to something just a little bit so that you don't have to put any extra effort into getting yourself from falling over. And as you stand here, feel that you can get that same sensation that you can get from sitting on the edge of your chair, that release in the chest, that filling of the lower back, and the buoyancy that your inner tube gives you. So notice how the emptying sit bone can fall into the tube too, and it can help keep you upright and make it a little easier to keep your balance. And then you can even take your hand away from the whatever you're using for balance and see how much more balanced you feel versus your old way, which probably has some tension through here and is pulling at you to lose balance. When you let go into your inner tube, you will have more balance.
I'm even doing it like this. I just need a touch. Right? So it doesn't have to be holding myself up at all.
Lee's saying, I could just, with, 2 fingers just right here on the side. There's no sense of holding myself up when I do this. It's purely a balance thing. So it's not like you need something that you're holding on to. It's just easy, just something so that you don't have to use any extra effort to avoid falling over. And then, once you get that sensation, you get that nice lower back, the chest is hanging, your leg is easy, then you can just take your hand away, and it's a lot like sitting on the back of the chair and then taking the chair away. It should feel, once you get that, then you have less to do to keep your balance because you've already found your balance, and that will enable you to stick with it. So just to be clear, you're not grabbing onto something and holding yourself up with it at all. You're just doing a little something to keep yourself from falling over. Valerie just noticed that a delivery truck has come by. It's very exciting because now that you folks don't come here all the time, she's very lonely, and she's really happy when the delivery truck shows up and has someone to bark at. Okay, let's go through the separates. I want to do this whole section with the inner tube image now that you've been playing around with all what I'm talking about. Hopefully it's starting to be accessible a little bit, and I think this is a great place for us to put on our inner tubes and have that added help. So let's take it from single whip, squatting down, and we'll go through that whole section till we get to the next brush knee. Okay, so you know what to do. Get yourself in the posture. Feel the chest release. Feel your lower back release. Make sure you're upright. This work could feel like you're leaning forward. Not because we want you to lean forward, but because if you do this a little bit, it'll tilt you back, and if you go through life that way, you feel like that's natural, and then when we try to do this, you feel like you've just been leaned forward. So if it feels like you're leaning forward, maybe you're upright. So hands in position without having that tighten your chest and pull at your lower back. Put on your inner tube, and you're not at the beach, even though we're pretending we're an inner tube, so you can let your belly go, let it all hang out, as they say, and let that help. So begin. And here, let yourself relax into your inner tube. As you come through, let that feeling keep you softening the lower back. Sitting down into your tube to get the other leg up. And other side. Releasing into that inner tube. And continuing on. Keep feeling that sensation of the chest softening, the lower back releasing. Your little inner tube is going to help you make this difficult move. And continue. Keeping that feeling. When it goes away, get it back. So stand here a moment and get that feeling back. And continue. And next one. Let that inner tube help you spin. Get it back. And notice how it helps you get your leg up and out. Stand here, Feel it relax. Feel the softening chest. And take a break. Now, I want to say one thing. We're not trying to take the natural curve out of your spine. Just want to be clear about that. This hanging the lower back and letting it go should take away excessive arching, but the spine is created to have the curves. We need them. They're there for a reason. We're not trying to make them go away. What happens is the musculature here tends to get shortened and pull it into a more extreme curve than is necessary for spinal health. So we're trying to just let go of all those muscles and, think of the spine isn't just poking right there, and the only way you can get it to soften is to take the curve out. That curve is there, and there's muscles all around it. So if you can release those muscles a little bit, the curve won't go away, but it will reduce how much it's being pulled into a tight arch, and let it loosen a little bit so that actually the arch can work better than when it's pulled into a tightened one. So I just wanted to be really explicit about that. We're not trying to take away the curve in your spine. The curve in your spine is there for a reason, and it needs to stay there. You just want to let go of the muscles around it. So this is maybe one of the hardest places in the form to do anything, the sweep lotus kick. I have found that if I can get my inner tube on, it really helps me make that move and be less likely to fall over, although I still fall over. I might hit my hands softly without tensing everything else up to try and touch my hands. So go ahead, stand here, feel the inner tube, get it going, and then see if you can't use that to help you make this move. Don't try to touch your hands. First, just make it small, and just notice how much you can use that ballast, the balancing of the inner tube buoyancy to help you make that move. You can play around with that on your own, but I just wanted to bring that up as a place that I have noticed I get a much smoother and less likely to fall over move when I bring that feeling into my lower back. And as Lee is demonstrating, you can always use a little something for balance. And feel that you're really letting go in here. That's the key. I don't care if you hit your hands. You can hit your hands by making everything tense, which I did for years. And now I'm like, I don't care about my hands. I want to stay soft and upright and relaxed. And letting the lower back release is part of how you're going to get that feeling. So let's close with the first third. Standing here, finding this place, putting on your inner tube. Nobody's watching, so you can let your belly hang out and go. letting it help you make a step. Releasing into it at the final posture. Letting it help you through this twist-up place. And letting it help you step. Releasing the empty hip joint, the empty sit bone into your inner tube. I'm going to help you stay upright. Standing up carefully so that you don't come up too high and put tension back up in your chest and lower back. Stand here a moment and let it all go. Sitting on the edge of the bar stool, sitting in your inner tube, hanging out in the warm water. And close. Even as you close, keeping that feeling. So, lower back, soft chest. Carry on.